conversation. Today we're going to talk about how to be a beginner storyteller. In fact, I was reading some books about how to learn how to tell stories. So before I give you some tips, let's go over what is storytelling. Storytelling is something that's been going on for years. Some people might even say that it's been going on for thousands of years. It's how people shared stories by word of mouth, sharing their family stories, sharing history, telling a tale and passing it on from one person to the next, or one generation to the next. All before there was even the invention of pen or paper, let alone computers and typewriters. What happened sometimes is that person who was telling the story would embellish it, add a few words, maybe a noun, or adjective, verb, or something to make this story a little more engaging. Maybe they might say, instead of saying it was a big alligator, they might go, it was an enormous, scaly alligator. And so they would add to that story, making it a little bit of their own, but also passing it down. That's sometimes why, when you think of it, you can remember the stories your parents told you when you're young, as opposed to remembering some of the birthdays and anniversaries and numbers that you've been told. That's also why movies and reading books are engaging, because they activate your imagination. So let's get into some tips that you can use to begin storytelling. Tip number one, first find a story that fits you. Storytelling for the teller or the presenter is like trying on clothes. You want your clothes to represent you and your style, your personality. So when you're looking for a story to present, you do want it to be engaging and to capture your audience attention, but first it must capture your attention. I like funny stories, but I also like stories that have a moral or a value to learn. For you, you might like scary stories, you might like fantasy stories, you might like true stories. You got to find the story that fits you, the clothes that fit you. My clothes will not fit you, and your clothes will not fit me. So find the story that fits you. You can borrow some ideas from others. You might take a little red from someone's shirt, or a little brown from someone's pants, or maybe a little purple from someone's scarf, and combine it to make a story or devise a story that fits your style. Once you're comfortable with your style or your clothes, you'll feel more comfortable in presenting that story to others. So find a story that fits you. Tip number two. So find your audience. Who do you want to tell your story or stories to? Are you aiming for the same age group as you? Or maybe you're aiming for someone younger than you, or maybe someone older than you, or maybe even a mixed audience. You really want to find a story that will engage that audience you're trying to target. When you think about it, a really or even a semi-scary story may not be the right story, say, for kids that are really young or even under the age of 6. And talking about the Easter Bunny may not be the right story that might appeal to, say, teenagers. You want to find who you want to target that story for, so that they can connect with the story you're trying to tell, and it will make their imagination stimulated and they want to be engaged. So find the audience you're looking for. Here's tip number 3. Find your voice. Storytelling can be done in your normal voice. Just like I'm talking right now in my normal voice, you can use your normal voice. There's nothing that says you can't use your normal voice. However, it does help the story a little bit, especially if you have several voices or several characters, to add something of a voice to those characters. Be playful about it. Part of storytelling is learning when to use your regular voice and when to take it up a notch or when to take it down a notch. When you want to convey excitement, you don't want to go, it was really exciting. No, you want to go, it was really exciting. you want to convey that emotion. Try telling the story in different tones and voices. For example, if you're doing the three billy goat gruff, you remember the three goats, right? So there was a little bitty goat gruff, so you could try it in a small or high-pitched voice. I'm the little bitty goat gruff. Or if it's the middle bitty goat gruff, you can just do your normal voice. I'm the middle billy goat gruff. And if you're doing the big billy goat gruff, I'm the big billy goat gruff. And you can try out those different kinds of voices and tones. You don't have to use them all the time, but you can. And as you work on it, you might even want to give the troll a voice. You can go, who's that tripping over my bridge? Or, who's that tripping over my bridge? You can even give the troll a voice. So you want to try out some voices. But never fear, you can always do it in your own normal voice. Just make sure that if you're conveying excitement, give it excitement. All right? Number 4, find your practice routine. You should read over your story several times and practice it verbally or with your voice several times as well. But I have to say, storytelling is a little bit where practice may not make perfect. I know you've heard that phrase, practice makes perfect. But you don't want to practice so much that you try to memorize the story word for word. Because when you try to remember it for word, you might freeze, and in freezing, you disconnect from your audience. They wonder what is going on, what has happened. So you want to practice loosely. You want to practice loosely because if you practice it enough and you feel comfortable with the story, you can modify it. You can change it to kind of engage your audience more. Maybe they're laughing, so you want to add something that makes them laugh even more. So you want to practice kind of loosely. Don't try to recite it word for word. And one way to help you with that is practice in front of your family or your friends. They're going to give you their honest opinion, of how you did. And so you always want to start small when you're practicing. You don't want to try to practice in front of the mirror and then next thing you know, you're on the big stage, so to speak. Try with a small audience of just your immediate family or close friends. So practice your routine. That's my next tip. So those are my tips for you today for this video, from one storyteller to another storyteller. Remember, 1, find a story that fits you. My clothes won't fit you, your clothes won't fit me. 2, think about your target audience. Who are you aiming to tell your story to? 3, use your voice to convey emotion to your audience so you can engage them. And 4, practice loosely and in front of close family and friends. Now you may say, Miss Leanette, you forgot to tell us where we can get these stories at. Where can we find these stories? If you keep watching this video, at the end I'm going to show you some books that are housed in our library collection that you can use, whether they're a collection of stories or individual stories. You can use these books to be your starting point as you're learning how to storytell. So they'll be your beginning point. Now, I also want you to keep watching because you never know. I'm going to give some more tips on my next video, and you never know, I might even tell you a story. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day. And don't forget, don't worry about the little alligator. You want to catch the enormous scaly alligator.